Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Abington Board of Selectmen's meeting of April 22nd, 2020. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everybody, if you can, stand, pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence.
Thank you. Yes. Right now, we'll do a moment of silence for Wynn Patton and for Frank Jinowitz. Let me just read something first before we do that on both of them. The Abington Fire Department regrets to announce the passing of retired Fire Captain Winthrop H. Patton. Born in 1937, Wynn was appointed as a call firefighter in 1957, a permanent firefighter in 1961, promoted to lieutenant around 1967, and as fire captain in 1971. Wynn retired in 1992 after 35 years of service to the residents of Abington. During his career, Captain Patton was respected by those who worked with him, as well as the community of Abington that he prided himself on helping. Wynn was old school in his dedication to the fire service, and his attention to detail was the trademark of his being. Wynn expected a lot from those under his command, but always had their back to keep them safe during dangerous and difficult times. Continuing to give long after his retirement, Wynn was always willing to assist as needed, working with local funeral homes, the Abington Food Bank, and other organizations. Wynn will surely be missed, and when the time allows, a proper service and farewell will take place for Wynn. Francis Frank Jinowitz. Frank graduated from Abington High School and attended Massasoit Community College and Northeastern University. Frank served in the Navy between 1944 and 1946. He served 25 years in public office, 3 years on the Zoning Board of Appeals, and 22 years on the Board of Selectmen. He served on the Old Colony Planning Board. He was also active in many civic groups. Frank loved baseball and was coach, manager, and past president of Abington Little League for 38 years. He received the Abington's Best Award in 1995. After retirement, Frank and his wife, Jean, enjoy traveling. Frank will be missed by family, friends, and his community. So I'll ask you right now to pause for a moment of silence for both of those gentlemen, please. All right, thank you very much. We're going to vote to go into executive session to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with the town manager and to conduct contract negotiations with the town manager pursuant to general laws C 30A, section 21A2. I need a motion to go into executive session and motion if we're going to return. So motion for executive session.
I'll make that motion, Tom.
I'll second it.
All righty. Motion's been,
Could I ask a question on that, Tom?
sure.
It says contract negotiations with the town manager. Does that mean the current town manager, or does that mean the town manager candidate? I'm confused.
We're doing both of them.
We're doing both of them. Should the wording be
Yes.
changed? Should the motion say that? Or John's not here, right? But I mean, I don't want to get in trouble. That's all. Because it mentions the town manager twice in the written out motion. So we probably just want to change to say, with, town manager candidate.
And that's, if you want to do that, and just let's, Tim, want to redo that motion? We'll just do with the current town manager and.
Well, sure. It's to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with the town manager and to conduct contract negotiations with the town manager. So I guess we could amend it to say negotiations with the town manager candidate and to conduct negotiations with the town manager current pursuant to general laws, chapter 30A, section 21A, subsection 2, and to return to open session.
I will second that motion. I just want to make sure it's clear so we don't get in trouble.
Thank you, Ken.
Oh, that's good, thanks. Seconded, we'll do a roll call vote. Tom Conley is aye. Tim?
Aye.
Ken?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Kevin?
Kevin Fazio is aye.
All right, thank you. Ayes, all in favor, we're going into executive session. All right, I want to invite everyone back to the Board of Selectmen's meeting of April 22nd, 2020. Let you know that we were in executive session and we worked on a smooth transition for the town. There'll be a press release done within the next 2 days from Rick LaFond and myself. We'll send that out to, again, to the press. So next on our agenda is appoint Stephen Santacciano as alternate delegate to Old Colony Planning Council. I probably really abused his name and I apologize for that. Let's see, Rick got a letter from Stephen. His interest comes from wanting to represent the town in some capacity. I've lived in the town for 6 years. I've also known David Klein, the person for whom I would be replacing for over 25 years. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, I hear, I'm hearing something in the back, but I'm okay with that. David has spoken very highly of his time on the board, and through my conversation with him and having attended the February 26, 2020 meeting as an observer, I inquired as to what would be needed to become part of the board. I have over 25 years of experience in the financial services, mostly in the retirement plan and record-keeping management area. This has helped me build up considerable thinking and evaluation skills, which I feel would be an asset to the board on a personal level. I also have experience in planning board process firsthand. My street, Mayflower Ave, was developed just prior to me moving to Abington, and at first was a private way. Street was on the planning board's agenda for quite some time. As the town worked with the builder's bondholder, the builder himself did not finish the street. To secure the funds to finish the street and to allow it to be accepted by the town as a public street so we could benefit from the town services, most notably snow removal. Process took a while, but in the end, it made me understand more how the process worked, which interested me. I've attached my resume for your reference, and you probably all have that. So if somebody wants to make a motion to appoint, where'd it go?
Make the motion.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, 1 second.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
The agenda item says to appoint Stephen S. as alternate delegate to the Old Colony Planning Council. I think this is for a full delegate spot. So I don't know if we can vote it. And the other thing too is, do you know if this position was posted?
Appoint Stephen Santa as alternate delegate to Old Colony. I don't know. I can't answer that, Ken.
In the email we have, it appears that Rick got an email on March 17th from Old Paul, the executive director of the Old Colony Planning Council, where he was forwarded the resignation of the town's delegate, which was Mr. Klein, Dave Klein, and then also a letter. I'm just confused as to what, I don't know if this was posted. We've been pretty big and trying to make sure that these positions do get posted. I know in other towns, a lot of times the Board of Selectmen will serve as a member of the Old Colony Planning Council.
Okay.
And I believe this is not, it's not for the alternate position, which is on the agenda. I think it's for the town's delegate. So.
Right. Well, on the bottom of Rick's memo, it says to Mr. Santosanio, and I apologize on that name, but OCPC Director, Executive Director Mary Walden has forwarded me the resignation of the town's delegate to the Old Colony Planning Council. She also informed me of your interest in replacing Mr. Klein. If so, please send me a letter or email explaining briefly interest and qualifications, and I will put it forward to the Board of Selectmen for action. That's what it says in his memo.
Right.
We want to table it for a meeting until we can find out.
Sure.
I mean,
Only
let's just find out.
The agenda item is for an alternate delegate. So
Get some clarity, and then we'll do it next meeting.
Sure. Yep, we'll do it the next meeting. I'll talk with Rick and we'll do it at the next meeting when Tim's in charge.
Whoa.
Sorry. Just kidding, but no, we'll do that next meeting. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. So, all right, next on our agenda is discussion and possible vote to accept Section 10 of Chapter 53 of the Acts of 2020 to extend the date for fourth quarter real estate and personal property taxes from May 1st, 2020 to June 1st, 2020, and to extend the due date for property tax exemption applications from April 1st, 2020 to June 1st, 2020. We've looked at this before. I do have a couple of notes here from Sonia, the treasurer collector for the town of Abington. She watched a replay of last night's meeting, and here are a few notes on the questions that came up regarding the tax bill discussions. The due date extension in Section 10 applies to the fourth quarter real estate and personal property bills currently due 5/1. Those bills were mailed out 12/26/2019, along with the bill that was due to February 3rd, 20. And I think I'd mentioned that at our meeting. The escrow payments were our concern as well about accepting these sections. About half of our tax payments come from mortgage escrow. Yes, real estate bills are included in the waiver of interest of fees authorized in section 11. Since interest and fees are now waived for bills due after 3/10 and paid by 6/30, the due date for the fourth quarter bills may seem irrelevant. For anyone paying bills by 6/30, it is. The only difference is that only quarter four bills paid after June 30th will have interest due calculated back to 5/1 due date instead of 6/1. 30 days of interest for a home valued at, say, $350,000 is $17.85, which is what a home with that valuation would be. Saving if they pay after 6/30 and we move to the due date. So Sonia wanted to make sure that I got that it helped us. So again, discussion, possible vote. I would say that we don't move it. That would be me, what I have from Sonia. So I would leave it as it is, but again, vote of the board, so. Questions? Did everybody fall asleep?
So what are you saying? Don't extend the date?
Right. I think Sonia is saying don't extend the date either. Most of it's already been taken care of, and I think she said that we'd have to print up a new bill, and the company that does that, they'd have to reprogram everything to get the bills for June 1st instead of May 1. And that would cost some money.
The way I see that, Tom, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know more than I do about this, but where we already waived the interest anyway, that if they were to pay it by the delayed time anyway, it would still be the same amount of money. So we're basically, by waiving the interest, we're giving them an extra month anyway.
I agree, yes. I agree with that.
So I think what we did last meeting by waiving the interest, I think we did what we're intending to do, is give anybody that needed an extra month. And certainly we can look back on this in a future meeting and maybe extend it from there. But for now, I think we've done what we've intended.
Okay, so I mean, and I agree with Tim. I don't think we've talked about it. We've presented it sort of to the public. We've read how Sonia, as the treasurer collector, feels about it, I think, and we did vote previously to waive the interest and stuff. So I think we're good on section 10 of chapter 53 of the Acts of 2020. Just leaving it as it is, so, and not voting on it.
I tend to agree. I tend to agree with you, but is there a way to let people know that they're not under the gun? Even if it's just a note on the Facebook page. I mean, on the town's website, just informing people. We're not going to send out new bills and that sort of stuff, but just to let you know that you will not be under penalty for the month or 2 month period or whatever it is, just so people are aware.
Yeah, I think I'll get in touch with Sonia and ask her if she can do something up and put it on the website or somewhere. I agree. We should have it out there because not 12,000 people are watching this publicly. So I'll make sure that.
You can always add it to our press release.
Yes,
that's
we
true.
can.
Another press release.
Yes,
Great idea.
we can.
All in one.
All in one. What Kevin wants it done in all in one, and I agree.
I'm with
Yep.
7 pages later.
you. That's fine.
But I'm fine
All
with
in
that.
one.
All right, so moving on, discussion on the Police Management Study Committee with MR1, and this was a request by Jim Connolly to make sure that's still on the agenda, something that we don't lose track of. And I think that Jim had a question, probably maybe for the subcommittee, but certainly for all of us. Jim, so you want to take over?
Sure. I'm concerned, the information I'm getting is that MRI has only gone back in 2 years, maybe 3 years in interviews with the ex-police officers. And, the retention problem we have has been going on for more than a decade. And I just don't feel the last 2 years is enough to get a clear picture of what's going on. I know we got some money set aside in the budget that we didn't use. And I want to throw at the board, maybe suggest to the board that we use some of those funds to convince MRI to extend the interviews deeper back in time. I don't know what the board feels about it, but throw it up there and see what we can say, what they got to say.
Kevin and Ken, I believe we're on that committee, correct?
Correct.
So if you guys, want to weigh in on that, and just for clarification, it's not a, Jim, it's not a budget, it's an article, and the money will come from the article, and we do have money left in that article. So just, I want to make that clear for the public, not for you and I, because just so they're aware of that.
I'll just state first that, I mean, if that's what this board votes, if they would like to inquire for that, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I would probably say, put another time frame on there if you want. I mean, you're talking about a decade. I don't know if that's really what you want to do. The other thing too is, I would also ask first if, before we even approach MRI, we should check with them to make sure they're able to do it now, because they may have already gone past that stage of the process. You know what I mean? They talk to us, they do things in certain stages, but maybe the person that's doing that portion of the job will still be able to do that. That's still the only points I want to make. But I wouldn't, I was actually going to talk to Kevin about approaching MRI, but I wanted to make sure the board, I don't want to do anything on our own. We want to make sure the board as a whole feels that way. Kevin?
I guess that's the point I want to make. I agree with you, Ken. I'm not saying jump right to MRI. I would put it back to you and Kevin and see if you can talk to MRI and discuss it, if they will open up another interview period or whatever it would cost. Or I just don't think 2 years or 3 years worth of the last, you're only talking a handful of guys. You're talking maybe a dozen guys. And how many of those are even going to talk? So,
I mean, in our request for proposal, we put in there a comprehensive study of the culture of the Abington Police Department, utilizing past and present employees' feedback. And maybe a way we go with this is we talk to MRI. Maybe we have the town manager. We put together a list of, maybe we go back a decade and we get that number. Maybe go back 5 years, get that number, and then we discuss it with MRI and say, as far as retention, what you guys feel is appropriate. These are 2 numbers that we came up with, and then also we got to talk if that's in the, money will cover that or not. That's another option. Right. And like Ken said, have we gotten past that point?
Kevin,
what's that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Finish up, and then I'll ask you when you're done.
Well, if I could, in the scope of services, we didn't clarify how long back to look, but we did say former employees, not just former officers, former employees.
Yeah, utilizing past and present employees.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is we could also talk to MRI about how, leave it to them is how they would do it. If maybe there's different techniques they use to go further back, maybe they don't have to. Maybe they use one platform on this avenue and then another one. I would want to get their input on it and see what they thought on how to do it and where they feel they would go back to.
Kevin, you and probably Ken, I guess, sort of, what was MRI basing going 2 years on, or were they using when they thought the chief was going to retire, or?
So MRI read our request for proposal and they looked at this. They based their whole scope of how they responded to us on. This is a forward-thinking study. Part in there does talk about the police chief's upcoming retirement. a lot of things like that, forward thinking. So that's how they based their entire proposal to us, was a forward thinking study. So that will be an avenue. Again, we'd have to talk to MRI. Ken, add any more to that?
No, but I actually just want to interrupt this broadcast. There's breaking news in the Coyle Christian household that Emily Christian was accepted to Emerson, her #1 school. So she is so excited. The house is crazy. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Kevin.
Excellent.
What I think
That's great. That's awesome.
It is great. She's so excited. And now she's going to be embarrassed.
I agree.
I think the board should vote. And if they want to extend it, we can go to MRI and ask. That's the first step.
Okay.
I do want to extend it. I just don't think 2 years or 3 years time is enough. I think, we need to get in a very good picture of why we have a retention problem. And asking a handful of ex-officers, when I know we got a list of about 60 in the past 10 years or more, I just don't think is enough to form a good picture of what's going on and why it's going on.
Now, Jim, just to reiterate, Jim, MRI, said that they're looking at this as a forward-thinking study because of how, what was in it about the police chief's retirement and looking forward and trying to transition. So you just keep that in mind. If the board does vote that way, we will talk to MRI. But, they've already they're in their game plan is this is how they were looking at as a forward-thinking study.
I understand. But if we want to resolve the retention problem going forward, then I think we need to get a very good picture of why we have that retention problem.
And I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that this is how they said it to us. That's all.
Right, and that's only one of the things, Jim, that we're looking at, retention. I mean, there are certainly a vast array of other things that we're looking at besides retention. I don't think we need a vote. I think I haven't heard from Tim, but I think I would just advise the subcommittee to at least approach MRI, see what they can do and how much it would cost us.
Exactly.
I'd agree with you, Tom. If the subcommittee feels more comfortable with the vote, absolutely, I have no problem doing that. I'll leave it up to them to discuss on where MRI wants to go with it, and as long as the subcommittee knows that that's where we want to go with is we want to be as comprehensive as possible. That I think that's everybody on this. I was going to say at this table, but that's everybody on this computer screen.
Tim, what do you got? What do you got at the table?
So, I mean, I think that's what everybody wants. If the subcommittee would like a vote, I'll certainly make that motion.
And I would certainly second it.
I think. I think we both have a good, understanding. But I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a vote just so we can, just moving forward.
Yeah. It's
okay, Chairman. Okay, motion seconded. Any other further discussion? Chairman votes yes. Tim?
Exactly.
I think Ken wants to know what the motion was.
Just to expand the scope.
Yes.
To discuss with MRI about the possibility of expanding the scope.
All right.
And what it might cost.
So the motion is for you to discuss it. I mean, we can't motion MRI to do something, but to discuss it.
No, but your motion is to ask Kevin to contact MRI to do it. Okay,
yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
A lot of passing the buck going on
Definitely,
here.
Kevin.
That's fine. I got you.
Any other further discussion? If so, if not, Chairman votes yes. Tim?
I vote yes.
Ken?
I'm waiting to use that all day.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ken, you said yes?
Yes.
All right. Jim?
Yes.
Another one. And Kevin?
Yes.
Kevin, give me a thumbs up, will you? Find the thumbs up.
Hold on.
I can't find mine.
Yeah, there you go.
Kevin Amazi says aye.
Oh, does he?
Yep.
All righty. Conley says aye too. Look at that. All right. So that's good. So we'll work on that on MRI. Last thing on our agenda was town manager report. There is no town manager report this evening. Rick is meeting. I don't know if he's still meeting, but he was meeting with the finance committee to go over budgets and votes and when they might have town meeting and things like that. So we were made aware of that. So there is no town manager's report. Next meeting would be when, gentlemen? Seems like we have one every day.
May 4th, Monday, May 4th.
May the 4th.
That'd be 2 weeks. May the 4th be with you.
Do you want to wait till the 4th, or do you think we, again, just the board, I want to make sure that
we
we,
can plan for the 4th, but certainly if something comes up, you know, we'll give 48 hours notice and we'll be back.
That's fine.
I agree.
okay,
Oh,
so May 4th. Will be our next meeting at 6:30. We'll get the press release all done, have everything included.
might take till May 5th.
It might, that's why I said today, tomorrow, or a couple of days, we will get a press release out. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your time. I hope all of you and yours are safe. I hope the same for the residents of the town of Abington. We are still in this pandemic, unfortunately. You know, a lot of you probably know schools are not going to open until September, and they don't even, and I'm not talking about Abington, I'm just talking what I heard from the governor, but even then, we don't know how that's going to be. And, you know, I certainly feel for the teachers, and I feel for the parents that are teaching at home, and the teachers that have to get that information out to them. So, you know, anybody comment seriously before we leave?
Yeah, one comment. I just want to let everybody watching on TV aware of the Board of Health's vote last night. It says anyone going into an essential business or public gathering is required to wear a mask now. Required, not recommended, but required to wear a mask now. So I just wanted to let everybody know that. So you're going to see a lot more masks out there. Anybody over the age of 2, or if you don't, but if you have breathing problems where you're wearing a mask, you know, does not help that, then you don't have to wear that. But they're requiring that now. So I just want to make sure everybody is aware of that.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Tim, any comments just before we leave?
No, I'll echo your comments and I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
And that.
Kevin?
No further comments.
Okay. Jim?
No comments.
Okay. Again, I want to be sure. Motion has been made by Tim to adjourn. Second?
Second.
Second by Kevin. Sorry, Jim. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone. Good night to the town of Abington. Sleep well.